Hey there, Zlatko here. Welcome to What is My Brain podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I get the opportunity to chat with fellow founders and business operators about their journey and how they got to where they are now, where they are going, and how they're going to get there. I'm planning on bringing guests and touching on topics such as running multiple businesses, executing ideas, and just spitballing about random topics and current events. It's a casual conversation, and that will hopefully bring value to anyone that decides to listen. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, here we are finally, man. Our officially our second chat here, Sohaib. So thanks, man, for jumping on the podcast. It was we talked last time, and it was just such a great connection. Like I said, we could talk for 4 more hours at that point. So really appreciate you connecting with me and reaching out and getting on a call. And I just found your story so interesting amongst the things we talked about, even football and different things. So I just want to say thanks for being on the podcast, my man.
Man, it's a pleasure being here. And again, my invitation is still stands. If you're ever in Madrid, let me know.
Hey, don't say that too loud because I probably get out there really quickly, man. So how you doing today, man? How's everything going for you?
Man, it's perfect. It's amazing. The weather is extremely nice. I don't know what is the time on your side, but it's 10 p.m. here. I don't know
Yeah,
what is it on your side.
I'm at 2 p.m. right now, so we're
Yeah.
we're about an 8 hour difference. So sorry that it's so late for you. Hopefully, it's not too big of
No,
a deal.
no. I mean, in Spanish timing, I mean, this is where I mean, Spanish people actually go out for dinner starting at 10. So,
So crazy.
yeah,
And in America, we go to sleep at 9:30.
exactly.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So hi, man. I want to just quickly give you a couple minutes or whatever time you want to take. Give a little bit of an introduction about yourself, man. What do you do? What's your journey been like? How did you find yourself on Twitter? And whatever else you want to share, man. I just want to give people a little bit of intro about yourself.
Perfect. I mean, for me, nothing spectacular really. I started. I mean, I graduated as an aeronautical engineer, so I was fixing airplanes right off college, and
Wow.
then yeah, and then I actually, I was extremely ambitious. I burned out, to be honest, on the job, and one good thing led to another, and I found my way into marketing. Um, Grew within marketing until I became a head of growth in an organization. And then the pandemic hit in late 2019. Actually, I was asked to lay off, a big portion of my staff at the time. And the only thing I could think about is, I might be fired at any moment. And this actually got me, to start doing something else on the side, which was helping startups within growth marketing, so helping startups to grow within their customers and products. And actually, what led me into Twitter is that one of the founders that I was working with at the time found my old Twitter account. So this was back in summer last year. And he actually sent me a screenshot. And you have to imagine it was a picture of me as a teenager, a bio, about what teenagers are interested in, drinking, partying, and stuff. And I don't know if he was serious, by the way, he was joking, but the caption on the screenshot was, "Should I fire you?" And this triggered, the direction of me going into Twitter and building, or actually fixing my personal brand. And it actually 100% aligns with my goal of building my own business, or my kind of tiny little one person business.
Wow, amazing, man, amazing. I think it's amazing how sometimes those little things like that screenshot, him sending it to you, flipped a switch in you, where some people would have reacted in a way and said, "Why do you care?" Whatever, and you looked at it differently, and you said, "No, I need to." I need to actually make this something out of this in a positive direction. And I think that that's awesome. And the other thing I wanted to kind of touch on what you said earlier, where you said, the pandemic hit and you kind of felt like you were going to be fired and needed to find something on the side. That's something that I think both you and I talk about a lot through our content, is giving people sort of whether it's, what do you want to call it, guidance, or you want to call it inspiration, or whatever the word people want to connect with, just to give them a sort of a different mindset of, yes, you can have a 9 to 5. I mean, look what you're doing, right? You have a regular job, but then you're doing stuff on the side where it's actually like a more of a side hustle. You're doing consulting for startups and a lot of different things, and you're also building a personal brand and growing at a tremendous rate. And so I think that's a really really crucial point, especially in the time we're in now. I know in the US, I mean, even just right now, Amazon just announced, and that's just one of the companies, that they're laying off another 9,000 people. And no notice, no nothing, just simply, hey, you're getting let go and go figure it out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sayonara, see you tomorrow or never type of thing. And it's crazy. And so I think just within that sentence alone, there's so much that people could take away, because it's like, okay, what do I start building, what do I start doing? And and granted, you had obviously a little bit of a background in growth marketing and all these things, but that's the whole point, right? Is you build a skill at the job, and something that you might be passionate about, and sometimes you fall into something that you had no idea what it is, and you start saying, oh, I'm really good at this thing, or I feel like I can do more, and maybe the company doesn't allow you to do more, or whatever that might be. And you just take that and you go and implement something for yourself, a simple landing page, a simple Twitter profile, LinkedIn, whatever that might be. Hey, I can do this on the side and earn an extra, even if it's $1,000 a month to start with, right? At least if anything happens to your job at that point, you have a fallback to say, hey, I'm still making a little bit of money, and that impact won't be as hard as if somebody just leaves you stranded and you have nothing, you have no water, no nothing. At least now you have a little pack of tools and supplies that you can actually rely on, and maybe build that up to 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, doesn't matter, dollars per month. And so what now, granted, I think in that same token, going into growth marketing and stuff like that on Twitter and LinkedIn is probably a lot easier than somebody that's working in some construction company. But also, what prevents somebody from talking about construction on Twitter? Because Twitter, literally, people are talking about everything, right? So maybe somebody needs consulting for a project, or maybe some. So I just want to say, man, that's a really really big step and a different sort of view that I wish a lot more people would take in and say, hey, I'm doing this thing at this job and it's paying me well, it's doing all these things, but this can go away at literally any point. When they don't need you, like you said, just bye, and you're left with basically nothing. They might give you a little bit of a severance package or whatever that might be. And so I just really wanted to touch on that, and I want to just say that's a huge, huge message, and that's what, honestly, what this podcast is mainly about, is inspiring people to share their journey, and hopefully inspire the next person to be like, oh, well, I do this thing or I do that, I can go and flip it into a small business that's going to earn me extra few $100. So I just want to start off by saying, man, great job, and it's really inspiring even me to like hear these kind of stories.
No, to be honest, I mean, Zlatko, I mean, I love, I mean, what you said is everything that I'm about. But also, I want to take a step back, actually, because I also, I mean, I was this person who was depending on my job until something happened or an event
Hmm.
took place. And what I realized is actually my whole mindset or my whole thinking could be summarized in this quote by Nassim Taleb, where he said, the three most harmful addictions are heroin, carbohydrates, and a monthly salary. And
Yeah.
it's just an addiction. Like everyone is addicted to this monthly salary, and because of this addiction, they don't look around, or they don't, expect the worst case scenario. While in reality, it's a lot easier than what we think to happen. I mean, I had this one tweet that went viral, and really, the tweet was about the fact that on any company's books, you are just a number. You are an
Yeah.
FT.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. And that's something that I feel like people need to take a little bit more to heart. And it might not, it can just simply be a thinking process as you're, maybe landing a new job or getting a promotion. Hey, what am I going to learn here? Even having a little notebook on the side, like, oh, I figured out how to do this today. I figured out how to do is go home and figure out what people out there, because everybody needs something. Everybody needs help with something. Everybody needs a service, a product, something to solve. If there's one problem, I'm a big proponent of this. If you have a problem with something that's not working for you, I guarantee you there's at least 5 or 10 or 15 or maybe 100 people out there in the world somewhere that have that same exact problem. And with the internet, the beautiful part about it is that you can get it to all of those people immediately, and you just got to keep going, keep harping that message down their throats till they understand, oh my god, this person's solving my problem. And so that's, I think, that's a really, and I love that quote, man. I absolutely love that quote. I need to have you send that to me a little bit later. But tell me a little bit more about how you got into, you said you were an engineer in sorry, in air doing airplane stuff. Sorry, can you like repeat that first part again, because
Yeah,
that was
yes.
mind blowing.
No, so yes, basically, I mean, I graduated as an aviation slash aeronautical engineer. So my job was practically fixing airplanes. So
Wow.
um, yeah, I would be in a hangar somewhere, and aircraft would come. We would, do the proper checks. If it needs fixing, we do the fixing. Uh, you know, extremely interesting. Um, and actually, I mean, over time, it's a running joke, actually, because in my current full time job, I recall I had a very heated conversation with a superior of mine at the time, and the guy was like, "You don't understand." And the meeting was attended by a lot of people, and then I said, "Is it as complicated as rocket science?" And he
Yeah,
goes like, "Yes." I said, "Look, I studied rocket science, so it shouldn't be that complicated. Explain it."
that's amazing.
So so yeah, I mean, it's an interesting background. I'm thankful. I'm extremely thankful for it, because it helped me to one. It gave me the ability to break down anything into a process,
Hmm.
and this is something that I'm extremely thankful for. And one, and two, actually, it gave me the power to analyze things, or analyzing complex things. So whenever I see you or someone doing something impressive, I have this ability to look into it, try to analyze what's behind it, and actually break it down.
Dude, that's a very powerful thing to have. And the thing that also sparks a little bit of curiosity as well, to say, oh, what is that person doing, or how does that apply to me, or whatever it is. But where did you study like the engineering part of it? Were you in Spain at the time, or were you somewhere else?
No, so basically, I mean, I grew up in Dubai. So originally, I'm from a country called Sudan, in
Yeah.
Africa, and I grew up in Dubai. My father had a small business in Dubai, so I lived there for majority of my life. And then since I graduated from school, I've been traveling around. I mean, I worked in Egypt for a bit. I worked in Jordan, in Amman for a bit. I worked in Singapore, and recently Spain. So I mean, I've been around. I've been around, and actually, this is something that truly made me curious about people. I'm always like curious about people, because it's over all these travels, I've realized that cultures and conceptions of people are way more powerful than anything we know.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe travel and exploring cultures and people is one of the biggest
education systems that is, I mean, I don't want to say free to anybody because you got to pay to travel, but in sense of like, you don't need to enroll into it. If you can, you know, especially nowadays, if you have a remote job or you have the flexibility to travel, you can literally go out and work from anywhere and get to know people and understand people differently. And it gives you different perspectives. It gives you, you know, in some ways it humbles you, in other ways it inspires you, in other ways it does this. And I think it's one of the most, you know, addicting things. And I think for me, even it's so funny because my girlfriend and I just booked our trip to Italy at the end of this year around September. And I think I talked to you about this on the last time you and I chatted. And you know, and last night we decided to watch a show about somebody going around Italy and trying all these different food places. And I love to cook, so I'm always, you know, in the kitchen. I love, you know, trying new things out. And I'm sitting there, and I just can't tell you the feeling that I got inside of just wanting to go downstairs. I mean, it was like 10:30 at night, wanting to go downstairs and just be in the kitchen and open my fridge and start cooking, because it just like inspired me in such a different way. Not only am I more excited for that trip now, just watching that and seeing how people are and getting a sense of that culture through the TV, but going there and actually now experiencing it, trying some of that food, taking different cooking classes or whatever that might be. And I think that goes a long way, man.
I mean, I think Zatko we're gonna get along well because I like to eat. You like to cook, I like to eat.
Well, I like, the funny thing is I like to do both. I like to cook and eat. So sometimes by the time I'm done cooking, everything's already been eaten.
No, that's a problem.
That's the problem. Yeah, yeah. No, it's awesome. But tell me how you. I want to kind of get back to the growth marketing side of things. Like, what's the kind of long term goal? Because I know last time you and I talked, you had some ideas about building something online, like I think it was like a course around building a Twitter audience and all these different things. And then the other thing I want to touch on, and maybe it just, you know, maybe wraps into all into one sort of answer, is you know, you and I took the same course together, which was Rob Lennon's 0 to 10K course. And I know I till this day, man, I think that course in itself was one of the most impactful in the sense of how it was presented and the format it was set in. It was a tight knit group. It wasn't, you know, hundreds of people. What are you looking to build, and how, I guess, how do you want to make it different from all the other things that are out there? Because there's some really, you know, shit courses out there that I've, you know, gotten access to, whether it was I paid for it, I got into it for free because somebody invited me or whatever. And I just, you know, I show up for one thing just to see what it's about, and I can already tell this is just not for me because it's just all the same crap all over again. So I'd love to know how that all has been tying in, and your growth on Twitter. I mean, I think it's been impressive to see you grow so, you know, in such a fast pace. And I guess like now it's just time to sort of keep building that and leveraging it in one way or another. So I just love to know what the next steps are for you, and what you're looking to build.
Perfect. I mean, first of all, I mean, Zlatko, I mean, I have to give a shout out to Rob. I mean, actually, I've never had a one-on-one with Rob yet. I think I need to fix that soon.
Yeah.
But actually, one of the things that actually truly helped me, you know, starting out on Twitter was the fact that he had the positive sum community. I know you're
Hmm.
part of it, and this was one of the, because you have to imagine I started Twitter alone. Like I had like
Yep.
31 followers who were actually just a number of old friends who don't use Twitter. So so yeah, I
Yep.
mean, I found a lot of help and a lot of guidance, and you know the feeling that I was not alone starting out into that community.
That
So really,
sense of community, that sense of community, man.
yeah, it's priceless. It's really priceless. So shout out to Rob. You know, credit where credit is due. You know, respect to that man.
Yeah.
On what I'm trying to build. Actually, I mean, I let's say I've been growing my audience on Twitter extremely rapidly, but actually now I I actually took a stand. I am no longer interested in the numbers of followers, but I'm rather interested more in the quality of followers. So My ideology or my mindset is around how can you build uh, a small community of true fans that are going to support you, like and comment on everything that you post, uh, subscribe to your newsletter, and buy your products. And I
Right.
know this might be against the popular belief, or against what everyone else is promoting nowadays on Twitter. But this is truly a reality. I mean, I've looked up around actually, and I've found a number of accounts, and I've talked to a number of people who actually don't have hundreds of thousands of followers or 50,000 followers, but they're making a ton of money because basically what they did was build a community of fans that are absolutely interested in everything they want to offer. And this is the methodology that I'm trying to build. I'm trying to create a guide or a course that is going to help others focus on attracting and converting fans rather than you know uh, gathering or having a magnificent amount of followers that don't really care about you or your ideas or what you put out there.
Exactly, and I think that goes in what I'm starting to see a lot out there too with like newsletters, and people want to get these quick numbers and want to say that they have tens of thousands of subscribers and all these things, and majority of their sort of their lead into getting those subscribers to their newsletter is giving away things for free. Oh, if you subscribe, you get this. And one thing that I feel like people lose touch with at that point is that you're not getting people to subscribe for the content. You're giving them that thing for free, and then they're just leaving. They're not getting anything. They don't care about anything. They came for that thing and they're gone. They're not gonna probably read a lot of your stuff. They're going to unsubscribe quicker. And I think that's where a lot of the stuff, even that I'm seeing on Twitter, is like, a lot of these giveaways and all of these things. And I've only seen maybe a few that were so value packed that I was like, wow, this person should have been charging with for this. But then you see some of these people doing these giveaways just for numbers, just to pump up those numbers. It's almost like you might as well just pay for ads and just run ads on Twitter versus like doing those giveaways, because it's cheap to me. In all honesty, it's a little bit on the cheap side to me, and I'm not a big fan of it. And again, to each his own. Everybody could do their own thing, and I'm not gonna knock anybody, but to me, it just doesn't stand with how I want to build things going forward. And I've held back on a lot of the things that I've seen people do out there just because it doesn't feel authentic to myself. It doesn't feel authentic to my person, to my brand. Maybe at some point it changes, and maybe at some point it doesn't. It doesn't matter. But I think that that authenticity portion of it, especially nowadays, I mean, we're still so early on in this like personal brand audience building phase that I think a lot of people that are starting now, they say, "Oh, you're this much ahead of me," or whatever else it is. It's like anything else. There's always an abundance of information out there. There's always an abundance of audience. People can follow more than one person. Not everyone that follows me is not going to follow you. They can follow, you know what I mean? And I think the authenticity thing is like, I'm starting to see that get diluted a little bit. I'd love to know your thoughts on that, and the things that I guess in that course that you want to build or that you're planning on building. How do you see, switching it from a numbers game over to like an authenticity and like a genuine sort of audience? Like what is that thing that ticks in your brain that you see, somebody with that's making $10,000, $20,000 a month with 10,000 followers versus somebody with 100,000 followers that's not making maybe any money or doesn't have a true audience?
Well, I mean, I think Zlatko, it's all about the depth and the authenticity, which two extremely important things that actually you see with all these people who have magnificent number of followers that lack these two things. And actually, if you want to look if you want to look at the top creators, uh, you know, on Twitter, you would really see that one, they have they have a belief that they stand for. They have a story. They have an enemy that they are fighting against, and for years these people have been, chasing after the same, or repeating the same message over and over and over. I mean, talk about, someone like Dickie Bush, who have actually, built an empire under ship 30 for 30, and basically all what he's talking about is writing online. How
Yep.
can you write online? I mean, I know you took the course, so
Hmm.
actually I could ask you, like, why 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 did you take the ship 30 for 30 course?
Well, there was actually there was a couple of reasons. The primary reason was I've always had this sort of thought in the back of my head with so I've been in the online game. I started as a project manager, building e-commerce stores, building my own agents, like all these other things, right? Starting e-commerce business, like all of these things. I've been doing that since about 2011, roughly 2010, 2011. And I've had all of this information, this sort of knowledge and data and thoughts and ideas and everything sort of in my brain. It's never made it on a piece of paper. It's never made it into a Google Doc because I had major imposter syndrome. Like I never thought I knew enough. I never thought that I was, I always thought you had to be an expert in something or whatever that might be. And it was last year of April, so exactly about 12 months right now, that I something just came to me and said, I just need to start writing. And I needed something, I needed almost that extra push to get me to that. I knew what I needed, but I didn't have an outlet to like give me like almost like a prompt. Give me something to start the cycle of writing online. And I always kept seeing ship 30 popping up on Twitter, whether it was somebody, that I knew or I was following or whatever. I used to see ship 30. I'm like, what the fuck is this ship 30 thing? I went and no joke. And I saw it and I saw the cost of it and I saw I kind of did maybe 10 minutes of research. I went through and looked at some of the comments. I looked at Dickie Bush's content and everything like that. And I said, there's something here. Like, I don't know what it is, but if all of this goes to waste and this is a complete scam, let it be a scam, but they got me. Like, props to you guys for selling such a fantastic scam. And no joke, Sohaib, as soon as I joined that community when that first onboarding email came in, they give you access to their internal like circle portal and all these other things. I was like, wow, this is exactly what I needed. Like I needed a process. I needed something to ease me into that. And what else is easier than writing 100 or 250 word essays that are, essays scared the shit out of me because I hated school and I never wanted to write an essay. But when I saw that and I saw what people were writing about and kind of how they go through the process, I was like, this is what I needed to unlock me. So one, it was the social proof that was out there. So that was great because I was looking for it. And then the second part of it was the setup of the course. It was done really, really well. Like you can tell that these guys put, work into it and made sure it was organized. And the third of it is that price was easy. It wasn't $5,000 where I had to sit there and scratch my head and be like, do I really want to spend? It was like $400. And I was like, if for 30 days, if I spend $400 and this kicks off a new habit for me, which I know I need, I'm all in. And I'm literally, no joke, I'm taking the course for the fourth time because I'm part of the captain's table, which is like their second tier of that whole program. I'm taking the course again because my goal here is not just to go and take it again and write again and all this other. Yes, it's part of that, but it's also content and things change online constantly. And for me, I'm always, it's like, I put it this way. if you're going to the gym and you need something to kick you off, you go get a trainer to show you a few things. Oh, you got to lift like this, you got to do these exercises, you do this. Okay, then you go out on your own and you're like, I can do this, I can go to the gym every day and do these exercises. And then at some point you feel like, okay, I need a new like level of exercising. Almost, I need to like ramp my game up a little bit. Okay, let's go see what they've got now in the course again this time. Oh, there's a few new things I learned this time. It's like watching the same movie 5 times. You always pick up something new. You always hear something different. You always can phrase something very differently. And I'm taking the course again because now that there's like the new AI technology side of things, there's so many things going on. My brain is now almost like, okay, let's go again. Let's try to now do more reps. Let's try to do, more storytelling stuff, more this, more that. So it's just exercising that muscle. So
But
long story short, that's pretty much the reason why I joined Ship 30 from the beginning.
okay, so the reason that I asked you, Zlatko, is that I actually want to get you back to a very interesting point. Okay, within
Yeah.
Dicky Bush's, uh, it's a content pillar or beliefs. Actually, he has a couple of things that exactly you talked about in your description of why you joined Ship 30. One of them is,
Yeah.
I think you know already, the 2 years test. Okay, because
Yep.
you might have imposter syndrome and think, okay, I don't know, I don't think I can write. I'm not an expert to write about anything. And then the
Yep.
2 years test is like, okay, look right to, Zlatko 2 years ago. Boom. Two. And this is what they were doing also. They have this idea of, okay, we share information, however we sell implementation. And this is what they are doing. They're actually sharing a ton of information that I'm sure you went through when you were looking through
Yep.
doing your research. But then they're selling you implementation, which is what you wanted at the time. I actually want to do
Yep.
this.
Yep.
And so actually this is it. I mean, you having this core belief, you having a story, you having an enemy, and actually building a solid content around it, rather than building your content around tools or chat gpt, or because these trending things will get you impressions, will get you to go viral, but at the end of the day you will not be able to monetize your followers with that type of
Exactly. 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 No, that's very true. And what for you, and I know earlier we talked about numbers and different things. What's some of the content that you've put out there that you unexpectedly saw just take off without you even thinking twice about it? You're just like, oh, I'm going to post this or I'm going to write about this. What was the stuff that surprised you that really went crazy? Whether it's crazy viral, you were like, whoa, I did not expect this at all for this many people to resonate with this or whatever that might be.
Well, I mean, I think an interesting part, which is okay. So at the same time, I was also publishing on LinkedIn, but
Okay.
I kept that. I mean, I kept things on LinkedIn for LinkedIn, and I kept
Yeah.
things on Twitter for Twitter. And
Okay.
what was extremely interesting is that when I used the content that I used to publish on LinkedIn about LinkedIn profile optimization, blah blah, on Twitter, it went viral. And when I posted the things about Twitter on LinkedIn, it also went viral, which is an extremely interesting experiment for me.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's
so, th-
amazing.
yeah, this is one. And two, actually, whenever I share my raw uh, my raw takes, because basically, I mean, one, my belief is that everyone should build a side hustle. You don't need to
Yep.
quit your job. Build it until you can employ yourself.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
And whenever I have like a raw take on that, it usually goes viral. So whenever I compare, let's say, I mean, both scenarios, or whenever I talk about the fact that if you what is the difference between you with a side hustle and without a side hustle. Really, like, people tend to react a lot to it.
R- Right, right. No, that's absolutely amazing. And yeah, and I agree. I agree. I think there's so many levels to that whole process, and leveraging that. How's so kind of transitioning into like the newsletter side of things. How's that been for you, and what's your process there? Is it just taking some of the explosive Twitter stuff that you post and making it into more long form stuff, or what does that look like for you when you start writing your newsletter? I know that's a lot of I was just in a spaces earlier today, and there's a lot of questions for people who don't even have a newsletter. It's like, how do you draw ideas for a newsletter? How do you know? It's just like, I have my process, but I'd love to hear what your process is for that.
Well, to be honest, for me, it's one. I enjoy using. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, at the back of my head, I'm an engineer, so I
Yeah,
enjoy using Twitter as an experimentation lab. So every time
yeah,
I post a tweet, it's actually an idea that goes out there for a test.
yeah,
And then depending on how good or how well the idea turns out, I take it and I expand on it. So I could expand on it on a thread, or I could expand on it on a newsletter. Sometimes I actually take my threads and turn them into a newsletter.
hmm
I just expand on it, or because in general, the when you write a thread, it's extremely energetic, it's extremely explosive. Like, you want to really, you know quick with the information. But with a newsletter, you it's a little bit more intimate, so you try to tone it down a bit.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And are you planning on monetizing your newsletter at all, or is that just something that you're right for right now? You're just kind of using it as an outlet to connect to your audience a little bit tighter.
Well, to be honest, right now what's happening is that I'm receiving a lot of requests from startups, or other creators, for sponsorship opportunities for the newsletter. So for the
Okay.
past couple of editions, I mean, the newsletter has been sponsored. So that's my only way of monetizing the newsletter so far. I don't think I will ever move in a direction where the newsletter is going to be paid. I I would really like it to remain free, for
Yeah,
anyone to get the benefit of reading it, because I really, I mean, I put my heart into it, and I would really love as much people as possible to benefit from it.
nice, nice. Absolutely love that, man. Absolutely love that. So, what's kind of the next kind of journey of of your your creator side? Let's say, I know you're doing a lot of consulting and stuff like that, and you want to move into you know s- maybe full-time, going working for yourself and employing yourself and all that stuff. What's kind of the next few months look like for you, or maybe whatever plan that you might have for the next 3, 6, 12, 8 months, whatever that may be?
Well, basically, the plan is by the end of this year, I'm planning to quit my full time job to dedicate my time fully for the creator economy. And the idea is, between now and then, I'm going to establish a couple of ideas for specific value propositions. So one of them, which what we talked about today, is that how can you build a Twitter monopoly? So how can you attract and convert true fans rather than random followers?
Hmm.
I have a couple of other more ideas that I'm going to test, and the plan is by the end of this year, I will have at least one of these tests to be um, something that I can double down on and take it forward into the creative journey.
Very nice. Very nice. I love it, man. I love it. And I'm here for it, man. I'm rooting for you and I hope that that'll, unfolds and it is way bigger than, you even probably expect it to be. So I'm definitely here for it. Now what do you do? I know you work a lot. I mean, what do you do for fun? What's your sort of hobby? Are you playing any sports? Are you, where's the work life balance, I guess, at this point?
Well, I mean, I have to say, I was for a long period of my life, I was a workaholic. I mean, my life was all about
Yeah.
work, 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 work. One of the best things that happened to me was moving to Spain,
Yeah.
where people literally work to live. They don't live to work, which
Yeah.
is a lesson that I learned the hard way. And because of that, I mean, I have a full time job. After my full time job, I have to spend a couple of hours, doing my other work. Uh, but I still on the weekends, I go out for extended dinners, and sometimes I would go out for drinks. 5 times a week, I go to the gym. This is like
Nice.
my place, or let's say my church, as they would say. Um, but mainly, I mean, I'm either at the gym or out with some friends, reading books or listening to podcasts. Actually, these are
I
my guilty
I
pleasures.
love it. I love it. What kind of books are you into? Are you into like more business type, self help type, or are you into like fiction, nonfiction? What's your flavor on the book side, or are you kind of all over the place?
Well, I'm all over the place. That's why I cannot lie. I'm all over the place. I mean, I this weekend I was actually had to travel to Geneva, Switzerland for a bit, and then on my way
Okay.
back, I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I picked up a novel, and it was about a robot. So a robot falling in
Okay.
love with a human, and I
I love
literally
it.
devoured this novel on the airport, on my flight back, on my way back home. I completely devoured it. So
Oh wow.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like going to the fiction side. Uh, a lot of times I would just be reading business books. I don't know. What about you? What do you like to read?
I'm all over the place. Right now, I am reading. I have a few different books. One's on my nightstand, but um, I recently read the Rick Rubin book. I'm currently reading. I do this thing. It's really weird. I sometimes will start a book by listening to it, and if it sounds good when I'm on my walk, like listening to it, then I'll go buy the hard copy. It's almost like this little test phase that I go through. Like I go, do I am I going to be interested in this? Because I don't know I don't know if it's my ADD. I don't know what the fuck it is, to be quite honest with you. So sometimes I'll just do that. So I started listening to a book by Paul Jarvis called Company of One,
I love that
and
book.
that really caught my
I love that
attention.
book.
So I'm gonna get that. I finished already listening to it, but I'm gonna start reading it. And then the other one that I've been what was the other book? I just ordered it on Amazon. I forget what it was, but I'm more into not really a fiction type of guy, to be honest with you. I feel like that could help me a lot with my like thinking, because I do have like this weird kind of brain that goes all over the place. Probably could be really good, but I'm into a lot more like real, like Shoe Dog, the Nike Story. I like almost like autobiographies, like documentary type books, and business books and different things like that. Like Atomic Habits for me was like a life-changing book by James Clear. And I know that's probably cliche at this point because that book is so damn big. But when I read that like 3, maybe 4 years ago at this point, I mean, I can tell you honestly, it was like one of those things that just triggered me to change so many little parts of my life, because like it just kind of makes you look in the mirror while you're reading this book and saying like, oh, why the fuck am I not doing this? Or why am I doing this and not this? And this could be way better, and there's just these little small changes. So stuff like that is what really hits me hard. And recently I've been sort of just diving deeper into a lot of people's, like, newsletters, like Stories Online, or people's on Substack. I found a few good, like, authors on there that I like, just reading their stuff in long form. So I'm just kind of like all over the place. But yeah, it's just, I think with wanting to become working on my writing craft every single day, like, the reading is almost like the complementary thing that now is like, ooh, if this person's doing it this way, it's like, where's, it's kind of almost like finding a balance of, like, not doing too much of one thing, but getting your brain sparked here, and then taking that and, like, writing in some format of, like, how they're doing it, or using some tactics, or whatever that might be.
No, I mean it's an amazing time to be alive. I mean, because you
It
could
is.
order audiobooks, you could go and buy them if you liked
Yeah,
what you're listening. It's really a great time
exactly.
to be alive. I can only imagine, like, how was it in the past for people who love books. They have to go to the store and then they don't find a book. What do they do?
Right.
Amazon was not. I mean, it's a great time
Like,
to be alive.
it is. It is. It absolutely is, man. Yeah. So I mean, it's just been, yeah, it's been awesome to not only connect with you, and all of these other people, but just to see people's journeys, and seeing what they're building, and seeing how people are approaching it, and all this other stuff. But yeah, is there anything else you wanna touch on? I mean, we have time. I'm not in a rush anywhere. I know we've been going for close to like 50 minutes here, or whatever, and time just flies talking to you. So I want to make sure that if you have anything else you want to, touch on, or talk about, or give advice. I hopefully, few people will listen to this, like, any advice to new creators coming in the game, whether it's about writing, or side hustles, or anything like that. I'd love to riff on that too, if there's anything you want to talk about.
I mean, to be honest, I mean, maybe I have two small pieces of advice to
Yeah.
to all the creators out there. One, I mean, always look for a purpose, uh, for a reason why you are, you know, coming on Twitter or any other platform, and share this purpose with others. This purpose is extremely powerful, because people don't follow what you do, they follow why you do it. And this is
Yep.
extremely important to double down on it. Of course, at the beginning, you would be focused on followers and numbers, but still keep that as part of who you are is extremely important. One, two,
Yep.
uh, be someone worth following, meaning do stuff that others aren't willing to do, especially outside Twitter. Like,
Hmm.
what are the things that would make you interesting for others to follow? What are things that would make you a leader, uh, and will uh, give you the entitlement or the authority for others to follow you? Double down on these things, and they don't have to be crazy. It could be what you've accomplished on your job. It could be what
Yep.
you've accomplished in your community. It could be what you accomplished at home. So any of that counts. Just double down on it, put it out there, and build your authority. That's all.
I, I love that. I love that. And the other thing I would, just to add on to that is, I feel, I think we're moving, and it's, again, I want to go back to us having our first, chat, and just having a time to connect. It's, when you meet some people on Twitter, you follow their story for a little bit, and you see what they're posting, and you're really enjoying it. I want to give people a piece of advice to just reach out to that person, say what's up, connect with them, build a human connection. Don't build just like a, texting back and forth, or whatever it is. That's cool. Obviously we all are doing different things, and we can't just be sitting on the phone with a bunch of people, but pick a few people that really resonate with you. And I mean, you and I think we've been sort of following each other through the Twitter world, And then I think when we connected, it was just like, it was almost like this different level of connection, not knowing certain things about each other, the background or whatever that might be, and just having a different appreciation for that person's content. And I feel like reaching out to somebody and just saying, hey, you want to get on a 30-minute, 15-minute call, just say hi, get that feeling. Because even though, I mean, we have to sit on Zoom, I wish we can just say, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee. But,
I wish.
sitting on Zoom, you can still, yeah, we still get that energy, you still feel that sort of that connection with that person. You feel their personality a little bit more. Because writing is one thing, video is one thing, and then I believe the sort of the mecca is like meeting that person in person, and just connecting with them and going out to like a dinner or whatever that might be, right? And I feel like that's where the stepping stones are. It first starts off with a maybe an exchange, a text message or a DM exchange, then it's a video, then it's connecting in real life, and then at some point you might even start a business with that person. You might start a partnership, you might start something with that person where it can take you into a whole different area of life that you never expected. So that's the piece of advice I would give to people. Don't be scared. I mean, don't expect people to also answer every single DM. I mean, we've all got stuff going on, but reach out, be in their comments, be engage with them. And once somebody sees you all the time and sees you coming, showing up, it's a different type of thing, And so that's what I would add on to that whole thing.
I mean, Zlatko, this is priceless what you just said. Actually, like 2 days ago, I was listening to the Danko podcast. He had like a 3 hour session with Dicky Bush, and actually Dicky
Oh, I
flew.
just started listening to that actually.
Yeah, and it's exactly that. Like it's exactly that. Like these guys have been talking to each other throughout the journey, and now they have actually got to meet face to face after they have both made it, and it's really a testament to everything that you said.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't get that far into. I got into like 10 minutes and then I had to jump off, but it's on my queue to continue listening to them. So I'm excited to see that connection there because it's truly, man, I've met some amazing people, and I'm really also fortunate to and this is why this podcasting, I just wrote about this the other day about how sort of this next level of my podcast is exactly that. It's now we're doing all these videos. Like think about just being able to take this podcast, sponsor it, monetize it, whatever else it is, where it pays for me to fly out to Madrid, rent out a little studio, come talk to you for
Wow.
3 hours, have a cup of coffee, like go, like make it an experience. And that's the next level of this podcast. That's where I want to take it. I'm going into season 4 of this damn thing already. I'm about to be like 30 plus episodes into it. It's one of my biggest passion projects, and it gives me another gateway to people that a lot of people who don't have a podcast can't. Yes, we can sit on a Zoom call for an hour and talk about whatever else it is, but this gives me a different connection level and say, hey, so hey, I had people comment back and say they want to have you back on, and let's do another episode, and let's dive more into this, let's do that. And it's just like another foundation of content that other people like you and I both, we listen to podcasts, we're on a walk, we put it into our headphones, we're on a train ride or on a bike ride, whatever that might be. And I think that's just another way for people to consume information. And so this gives me that platform to do two things: to connect with people and learn from them, and then also shine a light on other creators, because that's, to me, is the most important thing, is to make sure that whoever is on this podcast gets their story. We don't have I know we're not sitting here for 4 hours, but I'm sure we could talk for 4 hours. Is just giving them that spotlight to say, share what you're working on, share where you've been, where you come from, what your background is. And those little tidbits hopefully turn into them following somebody on Twitter, or subscribing to a newsletter, or commenting on the podcast and saying, man, that was a great episode, I love what you guys talked about. I mean, it's one of the best things. I had somebody just post on LinkedIn the other day. I had my friend Thomas Strider on recently, and him and I had a great conversation about content and different things. And somebody literally just posted on LinkedIn and tagged us both and said, man, I just started this and this because I listened to this podcast episode, and
Wow.
tagged us in it. And it
Wow.
was just like, it blew me out of the water. I was like, wow, like you just wake up to these things. It's not planned, it's not anything. And that's the little impact. Like those single notes, those single messages like that is what really makes like pushes me to keep going with this, because I truly, truly enjoy doing this right here. Like if I could do this every single day, multiple times a day, I would be the absolute happiest person.
I mean, I mean, Zlatko, I think what you're chasing after is just beautiful, and I can only imagine seeing it happen. I can only
Yeah,
imagine you having all these conversations with all these people around the world in person. Wow, I can only imagine.
yeah.
Really.
And you know what it is too for me? It's I don't give a shit about truly. I don't give a shit about people's follower numbers. I don't reach out to people to look at, oh man, this person would do this for me or whatever. It's never about. I mean, I've literally had people with 100 followers. I've had people with 10,000 followers. I had people with five. It's completely irrelevant to me. To me, it's about the story. I find this person interesting. I find something unique about them. They're sharing content that I enjoy. What makes this content so great? Whatever that little thing that irks me to say, hey, I'm going to reach out to this person and see if they're willing to come on the podcast. That's really where all of these sort of pieces to the puzzle come together, and that's literally the only thing that drives this podcast is my curiosity for people's journey and what they're doing and stuff like that. So yeah, the goal is to definitely start, you know, going and spreading this a lot further, and like I said, do it in person, creating a little studio somewhere, renting out studios in different locations and just recording it. And yeah, man, it's just a different impact that it has.
Amazing, amazing, man. And by the
Yeah,
way, I mean, I don't know who are you looking for exactly, but I mean, maybe we can chat, and I'll tell you who do I know, who can I connect you with if you're interested, in having, some specific type of guests.
absolutely. I mean, like I said, it's literally anybody who's creating something, who has a story they want to tell. I don't have any sort of restrictions. I mean, my audience, I guess if you call it that, is just more in the entrepreneurship creator space. But I mean, I've had people who are, marketing at a different company or doing email marketing at an e-commerce company or whatever that might be. All those people are all welcome to come on here and spread their story and where they're going. So, and I appreciate that. I'll definitely reach out to you and see if, if there's somebody that you feel like, hey, this person would be great or whatever that might be. But that all being said, I want to also say thank you to you for being on the podcast, because it goes a really long way in terms of, just sharing what you're all about, what you're working on. And hopefully, the goal is always to inspire at least just one person with your journey that's going to say, just that light goes off in their head and says, I need to go do that thing that I've been planning on doing for a year or 5 months or whatever, and I need to go spark that idea and start working on it, even if it's just little steps, one step at a time. It's just like this podcast sparked me to do that. So that's always that's always the goal, and it's just one person. I don't need 20 people to email me and tell me, hey, this was the magical podcast episode that you have. I just need one person, and that makes my day, man.
No, no, man. I mean, keep doing what you're doing. I love your energy. I love your vision, Zlatko. And I mean, I'm behind you. I truly believe that this is going places.
We have to do this again, man. We have to do this again. I need to have you on when you're done with your course, and we need to do some sort of exclusive
Would
shit on here
would
so I can
would
I can
love
make
that.
sure we can spread
I
as far.
I only have one condition. You have to visit me here first, and then we'll do it in
Done.
person.
We'll do it in person. We'll do it in person. That's it. That's
I would love that. I
it.
would love that, man.
Absolutely, my man. Well, Sohaib, thank you so much, man, again for being on. It's been great to connect with you, and yeah, man, whatever you need, I'm here for it. Whatever help you need, whatever advice, questions, feedback, whatever you have, always open for it. And whenever you want to come back on, or we meet in person, or whatever that might be, we'll make it happen. But I just want to say thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you, Zlatko, for having me on. I mean, this was mad fun. Thank you.
Absolutely. Tell people where they can follow you. Give them a little where they can sign up for your newsletter and things like that.
Perfect. So I mean, I am at Albadawee. Albadawee on both Twitter and LinkedIn. You can find me there. My newsletter is Growth Tribe. If you're interested into building your personal brand, attracting and converting your fans, and building your one-person business, just join Growth Tribe newsletter. The link is in my bio. Check it out. If you like it, join. If not, also glad to have you come to my profile.
Love it, man. Thank you, brother. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll be in touch with you.
Thank you, man. Take care.
Cheers.
Well, you made it to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for tuning into What is My Brain podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got some value out of it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button or the follow button to get notified when new episodes are live. I'm out. Thank you.